Some people are already asking, is the River State Gawo President General? Only have one. Some of them are saying, who have they consulted? River State is one of the statutory member states making up Ohaneze and Igbo worldwide. That we have supported other Igbo states to produce the President General of Ohaneze and Igbo from inception, along with other offices, and our allegiance has remained unshaken. Now, therefore, we appeal to Igbo all over the world to stand by the Constitution of Ohaneze and Igbo and ensure that a free, fair, transparent, and credible election is conducted come January 2025 to elect national officers, President General of the River State Extraction inclusive.
GGM, uniting the people.
Good evening, viewers. This is BVI Channel 1, and we are back again on GGM Hour. Tonight, we're having a special guest, one renowned, respected Igbo son, who will be exposing one of the fundamental issues that have been affecting Ndi Igbo in Nigeria today. And I will expect you to share this video to every Igbo platform you belong to. Because what is happening to us is right in our anus. But we're going to address that today, especially talking about the leadership of Ohaneze and Igbo. Over time, people have called out that organization for sabotage of Igbo interest, highly politicized, and its leaders sold to the highest bidder who are loyal to one political interest or the other. Today, as Ndi Igbo is trying everything possible to unite themselves and to bring all Igbo-speaking communities in Nigeria together, this same force is trying to undermine that process. As the call for River State to produce the next Ohaneze and Igbo president is in the coffers. Today, we'll be handling this issue, and I hope you will help us escalate this so that every person from Igbo land, wherever they reside, will understand where things had gone wrong. Let us begin with the affirmation of the River State and their position. I'm talking about Igbos in River State, their affirmation and stand with respect to them, which is their turn constitutionally according to Ohaneze and Igbo law and constitutions, to produce the next Ohaneze president. Let's take a look at that very quickly, and I'll be right back.
Once I'm done reading it, the president will sign, the candidates will sign, and then some select critical stakeholders, including select women, not everybody, will sign, because we want to escalate it to the respective media to know, because we have to start sounding it loud. And equally to take preemptive measures so that the whole world will know and not ask. Like some people are already asking, is the River State Gawo President General? We only have one. Some of them are saying, who have they consulted? So we want to let them know that we've started taking and we are ready. You know, many people did not know that. And here there was a night of tribute here. Yes. For the former late PG. Yes. Some of our elders across the hinterland Igbo said nothing happened in River State and they didn't see so much from us. But we will tell our story. Maybe it was not well escalated. So can I, with the permission of the House, go ahead to read this communique? Okay, sirs. That River State is one of the statutory member states making up Ohaneze and Igbo worldwide. That pursuant to Article 11 of the Ohaneze and Igbo Constitution, it is granted to River State as of right to produce the next President General of Ohaneze and Igbo worldwide come January 10, 2025. This is in keeping with the constitutional rotation of the office of the President General of the Apex Organization of Ndi Igbo among the 7 states. That River State is fully ready to take up this mantle to lead Ndi Igbo worldwide. Our sons and daughters are poised to actualize this statutory and historic assignment for the well-being and development of Igbo all over the world. Now, the local government areas directly membering Ohaneze Igbo in Rivers State include Obiakpo, Port Harcourt City, Oyibo, Ikwere, Emowa, Eche, Omuma, Obaebe Mandoni, Ahuda East and West local government areas respectively. That we have supported other Igbo states to produce the President General of Ohaneze Igbo from inception, along with other offices, and our allegiance has remained unshaken. That the Rivers State chapter of Ohaneze Igbo worldwide has produced the following national officers in times past. Number 1, Deputy Secretary General, National Financial Secretary, Secretary General, Deputy President General, and other offices too numerous to mention. Now, therefore, we appeal to Igbo all over the world to stand by the Constitution of Ohaneze Igbo and ensure that a free, fair, transparent, and credible election is conducted come January 2025 to elect national officers, President General of the Rivers State Extraction inclusive. We strongly believe that a strict adherence to the Constitution will bring about a harmonious, peaceful, and prosperous Ohaneze now and in the future, particularly now that we as Igbo face existential threats by internal and external forces opposed to our unity, survival, and development. We so appeal. May God help us all.
GGM, uniting the people for good governance.
In the spirit of uniting Igbo, everywhere they are, the call for the next Ohaneze Igbo president to come from Rivers State have continued to soar high and accepted by everyone except a set of people who want to undermine the interest of Igbo. Let us review the personality of the man in question, Barrister Uche Okuku. What he said during the Igbo Development Foundation 4th anniversary, which I attended, witnessed, and published that very statement that has gone far and wide. Let us review that very statement. And when I come back, I'll bring in our guest on the show. Let's take a look at that.
We're at a crossroads, but we must be tactful. We must be tactful. We must be tactful. Sir, it's like man Ikwere dem by Shabia. Okuta na man Rivers State to the Ikwere na Maya Kahamo Pongwe na Ocheche. O take Rendi Ikwere 40 years after Rivers State, Rivers State. But today went to Lord Cheche, the worst confusion won't do Ikwere na Luyendi Ikwere. I chupo wine. I chupo wine I be wakwa. Are you getting me? What Rivers State no? I did united as in Igbo. I got Rivers State forever. Because I am on record. Ndona Igbo na Rivers State constitute through 72% of the voting strength of Rivers State. But even if you have number, you don't have unity, that number will be useless. The Fulani in Kayana, Nigeria is the minority. In Nigeria, they are minority. So how come that the minorities are ruling the majority? How come that they are ruling the Hausa? How come that they took over a Lauren? So anytime you complain, you go back and ask question. Why are we not? It's not number. It is not because Fulani is Ubribu. Or because Fulani were organization and leadership. Our number. Our strategy. Our number in media. You need number, but you need clear strategy. And that strategy is what ADF and Ohaneze and other bodies need to work out. 2, Ana Mario, the biggest confidence ndị na-asụ Igbo nwere na Nigeria, and I get jishi ha aka ike wụ ndị Ibibio, Anang na ndị Efik. If we have them, Yadi united, imeri na anything are difficult. Two, the Amainebo Kalabari, who supported Biafra as a special advisor to Ojukwu from 1967 to 1970, was sent on exile by the SPIF. He died in 1973. His remains were buried at Ikoyi Cemetery for supporting Biafra. They've not returned it today. It's important. The biggest abandoned property in River State, our property only Igbo, our property only Ijo. Nga the Port Harcourt Polytechnic now, and the Polytechnic, wo property Franco Pigo. His private secondary school called Niger Grammar School, he built it. He was the administrator for Yenagoa province. After the war, they seized it from him as abandoned property. I have spoken a lot about Nhemere. The target was not Ndona Sibo. It was to completely destroy the unity of the East. So, we must be careful. We must do a detailed work. We can use the tragedy of the war and how it ended and what happened after to even unite as brothers with us. Onye jinala, when you deprive you political power, you pay dearly for it. That brings us to what option do we have now to engage Nigeria?
GGM, uniting the people for good governance.
That is it. And without delay, let us welcome our guest for today, Mazi Okoli, who is joining us all the way from United Kingdom to highlight on these issues we have tonight on GGM Hour. Good evening, sir. It's my pleasure to have you on our program tonight.
Good evening, and I greet you with the sincere greetings of peace.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think it's muted.
I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Well, I think he's not there. We'll have him back again. But I can't hear him.
I can hear you.
Please hang on. Let's find out what the problem is. Just handling it. So be calm. Well, while we wait, let us have a recap of what we are talking about this evening with respect to the issue we are talking about today with respect to Igbo APES Social-Cultural Organization, Ohaneze and Igbo leadership. Okay, let us quickly bring it again, the position of River State people while we try to sort out the technical problem. Oh, okay, now I can hear you, and but we are yet to get your visuals up on the platform. The technical crew are working on that. They're trying to bring you back on the platform so that our viewers can interact with you, see you. But meanwhile, You can keep speaking while we try to bring your visuals. Thank you. What is your position with respect to the leadership of Ohaneze and Igbo? Before now, there had been complaint by non-organizational members of Ohaneze and Igbo. I mean, the general public, the general Igbo community. Their perception about Ohaneze and Igbo is that of sabotage against Igbo interest. Why has that been?
I must confess that in the recent 21st century, that it's been very pragmatic amongst Igbo people to only speak about the bad things and the evil things about our people and our nation. And I think that mindset needs to be reviewed. And we need to go through a mental surgery to make sure that we begin to propagate the good things about us and less of the bad things. Every society has their own negative activities and negative attributes, but we must begin to emphasize on the good things. Now, before I start speaking, I must make it clear that I was very much against Ohaneze and Igbo before. As a young person, I never believed in them. But again, the problem that I have come to understand and notice in Igboland is that most of us do not get involved in things that are happening. We stay outside the premises of where things are happening, and then we only wait for the people inside to fail so that we can have a reason to say, yes, we told you. As a young man moving into the UK, the first thing I did after so many years of fighting Ohaneze from the outside, I got involved inside, and I became the vice president for Imo State in Ohaneze and Igbo, UK. I am a current serving member of the Imo Obi organization. I'm equally the coordinator of the Congress of Igbo Leaders UK, an organization that makes up over 400 Igbo organizations. So I come with wealth of knowledge from our people and how we perceive of one another. Ohaneze and Igbo is a social cultural organization, and over the years we have left Ohaneze to the whims and caprices of political stooges who have always implanted their own persons into Ohaneze, and Ohaneze has moved from, instead of being a welfare socio-cultural organization, into more or less a political think tank where politicians bring in their people and they represent their interest and not the interest of the people. So if we need to get it right, there was a video I did about 7 years ago. I said, if we need to get it right, we must take advantage of the philosophy of our ancestors who said to us, that termite that eats the beans lives inside the beans. We need to go into all the institutions that are taking care of, that are representing Igbo, and make sure that we have our input into those organizations. We can only change those organizations from inside. And Ohaneze is one of such examples. Igbo has abandoned this organization for so many years, and we all need to go back there and take responsibility and take the opportunity that it presents to make sure that Ohaneze speaks for our people. And that is the same thing with the political representatives that we send to the House of Reps and to the Senate and even to the gubernatorial level. So we must begin to take charge of our destiny, because the people that are there do not care about us. So it is our imperative right to begin to engage in every activity or every organization that represents our people and make sure that our voices are heard.
All right. Now, now that you've addressed that very issue, now let's narrow it down to the leadership of Ohaneze and Igbo and how they emerge. Do you think that there are foreign interest in the leadership of Ohaneze, meaning interest outside Igboland, influencing
Definitely.
the emergence of presidency of Ohaneze and Igbo, and why?
Definitely. And this foreign interest has been there since the 60s after Igbo Union failed. I think what we need to do first is to go back and ask ourselves, why did Igbo Union fail? After the war, Igbo Union was used the Igbo environment has always influenced our politicians, who will go to a certain areas in Nigeria to get their support base, and sometimes even their finance or even their buy-in before they can even come out to stand for governors and members of Senate and members of House of Reps. So we see this now playing a significant role in Ohaneze. And this is not the first time. In the last dispensation, we are aware of one or two people who have been appointed by or was even nominated by certain forces outside Igboland into Ohaneze. And that is one of the cancers that we need to cure if we want Ohaneze to move forward. Ohaneze must be seen to be inhabited by individuals that are patriotic to our primordial society. We cannot have outsiders who have the name of Igbos representing us any further.
Okay, now talking about this issue of uniting Ndi Igbo together, you know, outside the 5 eastern states, there are other people. You can identify them for us and for the benefit of our listeners and viewers across the globe. Those states outside Southeast that has communities of Ndi Igbo.
We, over the years now, with the solid work being done by our young brother, we all know his name, Nnamen, and people like Vina Kamnon, who have been involved in the Aro Kingdom, looking at all the... I did a research some time ago, and I found about 251 Aro settlements across Nigeria. And currently now, the Ezaro has equally taken this upon himself, and we're identifying additional Aro settlements. Then came this fantastic young man called Nnamen, who has gone all around and have identified places. So we have Igbos in as far as Kogi. We have Igbos in Benue. We have some Igbos communities in Cross River and Akwa Ibom. We have Igbos in River State, and we have Igbos in Delta and even some part of Edo State. So our target and what we have been putting our effort into is to support people like Nnamen to identify other communities that inhabit places like Bayelsa State and all the rest of them where Igbo people live, up to Haiti. We've done some job to even identify the Igbo community in Haiti and have been able to bring them back to Enugu to come and identify with their Igbo heritage. So it's a very painstaking job that we are doing. And that's why we found it very painful that some of the Igbo people are about to be disenfranchised from Ohaneze and Igbo because of the interest of certain people to make sure that we do not have a robust patriotic person from River State, Igbo-speaking River State. We're not talking about the entire River State, Igbo-speaking River State, to come in and represent Ohaneze. And they were originally in the plan of Ohaneze as the 6th state of Ndi Igbo to be part of Ohaneze.
All right, let us quickly take this caller. We are live and direct, and let us get those people's opinion who would like to speak to the program tonight. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. This is BVI Channel 1, and you are live on our program, GGM Hour.
Good day, sir.
Yeah, good day. What's your take on what we are talking about? Please be brief.
Okay, what are you talking about now? I don't know what, I just called your number.
That's very quite coincidental, but you have to wait and listen to the program. If you're not watching yet, you can just log in and follow the program. Then you can call back and follow up with what we are saying, and you can also ask questions, because this very program is very important for Igbo unity and progress.
Okay, maybe I'll log in and call you.
All right, thank you very much. Don't forget that this program is live, and we are streaming from our social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, on our backup YouTube channel, BVI Channel 1 Plus, and of course here on our main channel. You can log in there, share, and bring in more people, especially wherever you belong on any social media platform where Igbo people gather. This program is for them. And today we are privileged to have Mazi Okoli with in-depth knowledge on Ohaneze Igbo matters. So we are talking about the unity of Igbo and how we can move forward as a nation, as a people. Over the years, we have been, fragmented, pushed in different states across Nigeria, just like he has mentioned, more states in Nigeria. You can see them in the South, as they call it. You can see them in the North Central. You can see them in Southeast, as predominantly known. Now, why is this important that Ohaneze Igbo presidency and leadership should be rotational? Let's find out from Mazi Okoli. Why is it important that they have to include rotational presidency of Ohaneze Igbo? And how are they going to help in bringing Igbo together?
I think the original founders of Ohaneze, they had a very fantastic idea. They did not want a situation where it would be winner takes it all. So they came up with the most practicable solution to the leadership of Ohaneze, where the president of Ohaneze comes from a particular state, the vice president will come from another state, the secretary will be ceded to another state, the treasurer will be ceded to another state. So by so doing, what it basically means is that every state that has the Igbo community will be represented in Ohaneze, and then that will trickle down to the state level, because for each state you have a vice president who will now be representing that particular state and reporting in a pyramid format to the central. So if you look at the 5 states of Igboland, they've got 30 delegates during election. Rivers State has got 15 delegates because it's not a full state. Now, the other states that we've got, like Igbos in Kogi, Igbos in Edo, Igbos in Delta State, and Calabar or Cross River, and the rest, they do not have any delegates. So these are the things that we are beginning to talk about. When a general goes to war, you do not leave any soldier. You do not leave any of you. People have gone to war in this world because of just one of their citizens being held. Israel tried it during the 90 minutes at Entebbe in Uganda. Exactly. So you can see that we need to have a pragmatic approach to how we integrate our brothers and sisters. We fought a war. We lost close to 5 million people. Up till today, Gowon is still proud and saying it boldly about killing 5 million Igbos. Now, our Igbo brothers and sisters are scattered everywhere, even up to Gabon. We need to have a strategy where we need to mourn our people that died, but in as much as we are often talking about the dead, what of the living today? We need to equally go out there and search for the living. You can't believe that Naamen found a community close to Kogi State. They do not have access to road. They do not have electricity. They've been abandoned by the government in that state. And now from Nsukka, from Ebonyi State, we are even looking at a situation where we can have road construction. It takes about 2 hours for them to come into Ebonyi. We're looking at how we can get money to provide road infrastructure to them. Solar lights have been bought to send to these communities. So as Igbo people, we have shown that we are our brother's keeper. So when we identify all these communities, even the one that we identified very close to Cameroon, how have we as Ndibo gone to embrace these our brothers and sisters, provide the support, provide the protection that they need as Igbo people? And then it pains people like me and so many others when we are now beginning to see efforts by some people through external influence to stop people who are boldly proclaiming to be Igbos, who are Igbos by nature. I do not say that every Ikwere man is an Igbo person or every Igbo-speaking person in Rivers State. Those who say they are Igbos and proudly Igbos, we must carry them along and make sure that we leave no soldier in the battlefield.
All right. Thank you very much. And let us quickly take this caller because it's very interesting. We have callers coming to air the opinion or perhaps ask you question and you have direct answer to them. That is the essence of this program, to give the people a voice. Good evening, the caller, Robert Unebu. Where are you calling from, sir?
Yeah, I'm calling from Texas, United States.
All right, go ahead, Robert. What's your take on what we're talking about?
All right. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for your platform and also thank your special guests. I've been listening to you, following you for quite a while on the question of the Igbo question. Let me put it that way. So, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, fine. We can hear you. Go ahead.
We can hear you.
All right. So, first of all, I appreciate the work you people are doing, designed to galvanize the Igbos and bring us all together so that we can be able to actualize our purpose either in Nigeria or maybe in the future of Biafra State. But the issue is that we have to be able to identify the problem that is besetting or facing the Igbos. I've read a lot of books, starting from Noduga, Dwell Mandate in Tropical Africa, the book of Seek My Odyssey, then Alexander Madiebo's book, and I've come to realize that there is a conspiracy designed to undermine the Igbos, and unfortunately, they've been able to locate some Igbo people who are willing to help them to actualize that balkanization of the Igbo race, but the agenda now that you are pursuing vigorously to bring the Igbos together will be able to help to push back on those centrifugal forces that have been holding the Igbos down. I'm from Imo State. I'm not happy with what is going on in the sense that the corporate administration was purposely installed in furtherance of that agenda to destroy the Igbos, and they almost succeeded, because everybody is now afraid, So unless the Igbos will come together and say enough is enough from this oligarchs in the north, that's what we call a polarization of what is going on, the destabilization, the banditry. It was all a plan and staged by the oligarchs from the north to put the country at a standstill, and the Igbos is their primary target. And unfortunately, most of our people, Umahi, most of them, I will say that without any apology. And now Soludo is playing into that because they have sold to them this Greek offer that, okay, if you support us, we are going to make you politically relevant in Nigeria. We're going to make you vice president. We're going to make you the president of Nigeria, because to them, they're trying to convince them that they are the best of the Igbos they can trust, without them realizing that they are indirectly being used to destroy the Igbos. Because they see out of the book, you read the book, the 12 mandates in Chocolate about Lugar, he basically described the Igbos as an intelligent and enterprising group. However, on the flip side, he said that the Igbos are very stubborn and disloyal to the queen. and that any political arrangement, any future political arrangement in Nigeria should not take them into consideration because they cannot be trusted. And that has trickled down to what the North is using today. No matter how nice they try to play, oh, we are for one Nigeria, they are not. They are not. Because the big feel that the Igbos have been emancipated and become forced to be reckoned with, there is no hope for them. So that's why they're doing everything possible. So if we can galvanize ourselves as you're doing, and thank God the person of I've forgotten his name, your guest, he's doing everything possible to change that narrative. You know, so let us complete that with most of us in diaspora who understand the dedicated challenge we are facing are willing to support. You know, so that's my take for that.
All right, thank you very much for your position. I think Mazi Okoli, you heard what he said, and
yes, I do.
Now, talking about this issue of the importance politicizing Ohaneze and Igbo, you know, over the years we've seen the political class driving Ohaneze and Igbo, and that's why many people have lost confidence in the organization. Now, should it be a reverse case where the Ohaneze and Igbo should be driving the political interests of Igbo and not politicians driving the interest of Ohaneze and Igbo as an institution?
What we are looking for in the next, and having had the conversation with Jackson, one of the candidates for the presidency of Ohaneze, and having had intensive conversation with both of them and Barrister Okuku, Kingsley Okuku, we have always underscored one point. We need to review the entire constitution of Ohaneze and Igbo. Ohaneze and Igbo as an institution must drive its power and authority from the people. The name Oha, Naeze, must be respected and must be inculcated in anything we do. Now, the political, the governors are representing the states. They can make their own input into Ohaneze because we need them as the custodian of the state, as the administrators of the state, as the people who are responsible for the security. But for Ohaneze to work, for Ohaneze to represent our people, Ndi Igbo must have a buy-in. Every Igbo person must have a constitution of Ohaneze. We must have satellite offices where people can go and register. We must work with the PGs of all communities in Igboland. And that is one thing again that we must say. We do not need the governors to help us appoint PGs from communities. Let the communities choose the PGs from their community who will be representing them. And all these people will now, all these institutions with the traditional rulers will have a buy-in into Ohaneze. We have the Imobi. We should have a department for traditional affairs. We should have a department for youth affairs. And I am very glad for the first time, Ohaneze and Igbo youths have come out boldly for once to speak as youths of Igboland. They have stood on the truth. I read their press release earlier this morning, and I said to myself, the tsunami is happening in Igboland. And we that are patriotic Igbos, we want to be involved in taking decisions on what affects us. Ohaneze can work with the governors, but it must derive its power, its authority from the traditional council, from the youth, from the community, and from the Igbos, who will have to contribute into Ohaneze, have a constitution, ask their representatives questions to make sure that Ohaneze is doing what it needs to do, and that is to represent the interest of Ndi Igbo, patriotically, not politically.
All right, thank you very much. Quickly, let us bring in Ndubisi, and then I think he has joined us virtually as well. Let's have his input with respect to what we're talking about this evening. And in case you're watching and you want to be part of this conversation, you want to air your opinion, you can drop it on the comment section via the platform you are watching from. We are going to read that and acknowledge that as well. And we are also going to take your call. If you call +2348104545533, we'll be able to take your call and get your opinion across on this platform. And it seems Ndubisi is not seated. We'll go back to Mazi Okoli. Now, Now, Ndubisi, okay, Ndubisi is back. Ndubisi, you're welcome to the program this evening. This is still GGM Hour. How do you react to what we've been saying so far? And if you have anything to tell our special guest, Mazi Okoli, you have the floor. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Chinedu. Greetings to all our. Okay, you can hear me now.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but you can pause. Yes, you can pause there. Let us, we give priority to our callers who are calling in to air the opinion. You can always have your time. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Mazi Obidio Bienu. You're welcome to GGM Hour.
Yeah, good morning, my brother. Good morning, Dallon. Thank you so much for what you are doing.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I say continuing on educating our people and giving us the information we need to be able to discover ourselves or rediscover ourselves. Let me say thank you to your guest who has gone all the way to say a lot of things this morning. As you know, Igbos now, we say that this is the reason I'm calling with respect to the discussion on board right now. This Ohaneze association or whatever, Ohaneze and Igbo, it's supposed to be the apex socio-cultural group of the Igbos. And I remember sometimes about 15 years ago, I wanted to be a part of it. We were advised that we cannot come in as individuals, that we have to come in as a community, which makes a lot of sense. In other words, you can't just come and become Ohaneze, someone or chieftain, without the absolute recognition of your community, which makes a lot of sense. But today, I don't even know how this group are organized. We don't know. Because for me, that is from Oba, I can tell you honestly, I don't know anybody in Oba. Maybe there's few of them who is part of this socio-cultural group or the apex socio-cultural group that come out every time to speak for our people. I need to know that.
Okay. I think Mazi Okoli is here to address that, and where they are not getting it right, we'll push for that to be addressed and fixed, because that is very important and crucial.
Exactly, because that's where we need to start from. Every reasonable Igbo man knows today that whatever we are doing today, whatever we call ourselves doing today, is so disorganized. And we need to organize ourselves. And for us to organize ourselves, we must have a solid framework, a solid, echelon in place or ranking in place. Because I remember those days, the Igbos were organized by the Obo groups and everything. I'm not recommending that for today because I got them go.
Okay, you might be rounding up. You might be rounding up now, so that we'll give room for other people.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me not take time. So that's where I'm heading to, and I went to make an input concerning what your guest said about the Igbo should appoint. I mean, the government should stay away from the president generals. My brother, we don't have anything like that before. What we have is Igbo. We don't have president generals. So I think that's one of the things that needs to be abolished in Igboland is that president generals. And, let the Igwes and the state governors should take their hands off of the Igwes. Let the community select and elect their Igwes. Okay? I think that's where we need to start coming up. But I can understand the problem they are facing today because it's like anybody can jump out and say he wants to be Igwe, even when he doesn't meet the criteria. But anyway, I'm rushing my thought, which I don't want to do. But that's just what I want to say. There are so many things I would have.
You can also you can always have your time again if you call back. But meanwhile, let us break it down so that we give room for other people.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity.
Feel free to call back if you have any other thing to add to the program. Thank you very much for your contribution.
No problem.
All right, Mazi Okoli, you had that, and I heard you say, I agree with him. I agree with him. Let us address that, then we'll go back again to what we were talking about.
The caller is absolutely right about what he said. Before we had the Igwes representing their communities, they had authority. And then from nowhere came this autonomous madness that has, been used to destroy the entire Igbo society. You now have, I come from R&D Zog, and before we had one traditional ruler and then two other traditional rulers that were more or less chiefs. And then suddenly from nowhere now we're having Ezes all over. And then when you travel from somewhere like Owerri, heading towards Orlo, after Orlo, even towards Akokwa, all you see is one community, one autonomous community from the other. You begin to ask yourself, what are they autonomous from? Igbo, we are Igbos. And the only thing that holds us together, that binds us together, is that we are the Igbos. So autonomous from what? From your community. It doesn't make sense to me. And then we have these PGs. Now, since the Igwes are working with the PGs and change is constant, we can integrate them into the Ohaneze and Igbo. What we are talking about is a mental surgery for Igbo, a new day, a new dawn for Igbo that will begin to identify where our brothers and sisters are. We need to have a strategy in place, a core Igbo strategy that will take care of ourselves. We must begin to understand that nobody likes us. Nobody wants to take care of us. We are complaining about marginalization. We are complaining about bullying from the Nigerian state. But what are we doing internally ourselves to make sure that we are robust enough to face any challenges from anybody? You can see what is happening in the global space today. There is xenophobic influences all over against Igbo. You go to TikTok, you go to everywhere, they are opening rooms every day. And these people are having dysfunctional testicular fortitude, just talking about Igbo, destroying our image. Our young men, that's why in my last video, I said I do not blame anybody like Ruben Abati, who came up and was giving a false narrative on a single story format. Now, I was saying that the youths of Igboland, that I blame them because we have access to media today. Our youths must understand that they are the people that will protect Igboland intellectually, physically, and otherwise, philosophically. We need Igbos, people like Dibia and all the rest of them that are coming up today to begin to educate our people about our culture and tradition, who we are as a people. We need a new mental surgery. We need a new state for the Igbo nation that will give us a holistic place of pride so that we can take back our glory. We've lost our glory as Igbo, and we have become the crying baby of Nigeria. When 80 million Igbos should stand firm and say enough is enough, we need to take charge of our own destiny, develop our land, and fight anybody who wants to fight us, bless anybody who wants to bless us, the same way every other nationality is doing. We cannot gloss these things over anymore with nice speeches and pretense that we don't know there is a global war against Igbo. We must be pragmatic enough to begin to defend ourselves, our wives and our children, and develop our land. And that is why I keep saying that the killings happening in Igboland must stop. Anybody who is agitating for anything needs to take a break so that we can go back and sit down, ask ourselves relevant questions, develop policies and strategies that we will use to rebuild in the Igbo land. Igbo land must be rebuilt. Our fathers rebuilt Igbo land after the war. We as young people cannot destroy what we did not build. We are supposed to build upon what our fathers did. After the war, they were given 20 pounds. And when we look at Igbo land today, we can see their resilience. We can see the effort of what they've done. Why are we destroying what we did not build? We must develop Igbo land. We must create a peaceful Igbo land. We must remove all these nuisance that they call police checkpoints and military checkpoints in Igbo land to allow our people the freedom of movement. This is a fundamental right that we need. The governors must do something about it. For us to have a free Igbo land so that investment can begin to come in. There is a plot against Igbo, and we cannot continue to waste our time and ignore and pretend that these things are not happening. We must take our destinies in our hands. God bless.
All right, thank you very much. And I don't know if Ndubisi has finally joined us back again. If he joins us, we'll take him in and proceed on this program. Meanwhile, we talked about this issue of participation of Igbo generally. And with the way you talked about it, with respect to the emergence of Igbo presidents or the executive or leadership of Ohaneze and Igbo, having delegates 18 from each state, and in River State they are giving like 15. Doesn't that strike a chord of minority? You know, giving them that kind of slot, like not making it an equal representation, because that is one of the things we are talking about in Nigeria, where every other state got more representation than the Igbo land. And here we are adopting the same approach in the governance of the very most important institution, talking about socio-cultural institution in Igbo land. So how do you address that?
I think we need to be pragmatic here and have a mind of understanding.
Okay.
80 million Igbos spread across 6 states of the southeast. Now we have majorities there, and then when you come to River State, we have at the borderline about 7 to 12 communities that you can trace their ancestral lineage to the Igbo community. So it's not a full state per se. And the same thing, if you go to like Cross River State, you go to Kogi, you go to Benue, Migodo, and the rest of them. Now, there are Igbo people there. Their communities are not so big, but they exist in another state like Delta, Edo, and all the rest. We cannot give them 30 delegates, as the case may be. So I fully understand why the founders of Ohaneze did that. But if in future Igbo want to review it, that's why I keep saying Ohaneze must be owned by Igbo. If we look at it, see Onyagala Wanya, eme dike ka esi mee Okoronkwo, we can always review such things and say, okay, we want to make sure that everywhere Igbos exist, they should have equal delegates. But I think, like I said earlier, I do understand why River State has 15 and other 5 core Igbo states with their large population have 30 delegates.
Okay, now talking about participation generally, because just like the caller who called last mentioned, you don't see the participation from individuals. Majority of the people do not even know how and when these elections happen, who takes up these elections, how they emerge, and the rest of them. And in my own opinion, because this is not the place we can sit down and change everything, but we form opinions, which, if taken up, will enable us move further as a people. Now, for instance, this issue of participation, you've talked about how important it is to, trickle down Ohaneze Igbo structure down to every community, where everyone who wants to participate in active programs of Ohaneze should identify and register himself, so that at least they will know who are active in this organization. And those who are active in the organization can also participate in the election. Because when we look at people who emerge as leaders of Ohaneze, who do not or may not represent the will of the people, and the people are not having the option to make their choice. Now, would it come to a position or time where the election of Ohaneze Igbo will be like an election like Nigeria is electing their president, where everyone can participate through Ohaneze registry? Is that possible?
Mana ndị Igbo na-asị na ụla tọwa ụtọ. Ekwobe. Ihe anyị chọgodoro, the first thing that we need to do here is to make sure that we look at the constitution, we look at the institutions of Ohaneze. Ohaneze membership is by community and affiliate, what we call affiliate organizations. So if you've got a business, if you've got a community organization, if you've got any interest group like yourself, you own a television station, the other person might own a radio station, these groups can become members of Ohaneze. Why? Now, when you trickle that downwards, if, for instance, Aaron D. Zog is a member of Ohaneze and I belong to the Aaron D. Zog Patriotic Union, it means that I'm equally a member, because my dues, the money that will go to Ohaneze is the money that I have contributed towards. If an Nnewi man comes, the Nnewi community, for instance, in the UK, will become a member of Ohaneze. It trickles down that all Nnewi people are members because they will pay their dues to Ohaneze. So Ohaneze does not recognize individual members, but it recognizes what we call affiliate organizations, communities, interest groups, charity organizations, and everybody can become members of Ohaneze. It is then from there that the delegates are selected to go for the election. Remember, the delegates are only selected during election time. So what happens in Igboland is that because we are not participating, we do not know when the delegates are selected. Somebody can just sit in Owerri and say, you come, you're representing Nnewi. Nnewi people don't even know about it because they are not fully registered as members of Ohaneze. They do not even receive any commission from Ohaneze. You cannot even tell the last time any community president or PG visited the Ohaneze website to even understand what Ohaneze stands for. So until these things are corrected, and that's why we're saying with a new leadership coming into Ohaneze, we're going to look at Ohaneze constitution. We're going to review that. We're thinking about having Ohaneze radio station that will be broadcasting so that our people will know the interest of Ohaneze in certain things. They will hear from Ohaneze. We are thinking about having a national conference. One is going to, an award is going to take place in Enugu very soon, I think on the 27th of December. And we're looking at national conference, this form that was being organized by World Igbo Congress, so that Ohaneze can begin to talk to the people. You cannot be appointed to represent us and you're not talking to us. And when we brought Nwodo to the Chatham House here, there was we created the platform for us to have a meeting, Umunna meeting, in the house of, in the Amnesty International, but Nwodo declined and went home, which was one of the major issues that caused the problem between Nnamdi Kanu and Ohaneze. And most people will not say the truth. But that was, at that point, was when Nnamdi Kanu decided that Ohaneze is not for us. Because after Nwodo finished speaking to Ndocha at Chatham House, we expected him to have come to the Amnesty International building, which we paid for, and we were ready to have a dialogue between IPOB, Ohaneze, and other interest groups. He declined, jumped on the plane, and left. It was at that point that Nnamdi said, enough is enough, I'm not going to discuss with these people anymore. But the truth is not being said, because I was involved in organizing that meeting, in making sure that that meeting took place. That's how I know. But Ndibo, majority of our people don't even know that opportunity was offered by Nnamdi Kanu to sit in a very cordial atmosphere for us to have a conversation. When ADF came in here, ADF had a very intensive pragmatic meeting with IPOB because they need to listen to the elders equally. You cannot, so our elders should be involved in everything we do. The youth cannot be disconnected from the elders.
Exactly.
The youth cannot be doing things that the elders don't know about. And that is why I am so passionate and upset about the way we are doing things. On the elders now or youths, so that the elders will say, yes, I know Zilifa. Man, if I now these days that the youths now and then Mexico kandi ụmụnna anọrọzi ka ndị ichie na ndị nze na ọzọ anọrọzi ka ndị ekpe ha nọrọzi n'ala Igbo, all the institutions ndị nna nna anyị fadobere anyị ka anyị wee chia Igbo arapụghị afa niile na-anwụ because onwerozi onye mmazi ife na-aza nsọpụrụ. Ife anyị na-afụzi sọsọ n'ala Igbo kịta bụzi instead of nsọpụrụ bụ nkali. And we need to change this mindset. And you want to put now that we must return Igboland to where our forefathers, what our forefathers wanted Igboland to be. It must be a place of respect, a place of solitude, a place of peace, and a place of community growth. And you made
a very, very strong, emphatic statement with respect to this very issue concerning the participation. You see, the way you were explaining it, myself, I'm beginning to see a better picture of Ohaneze and Igbo and how it was structured and why it is so and how people can participate. Now, there is also a loophole where just like you mentioned, because people are not participating actively individually, we now see a situation where people are being appointed as delegates for the election. Then the question is, who is appointing who? And that is where the problem is. And that is where the political interest comes in. People who now, like for instance, people believe that the last dispensation of Ohaneze and Igbo in recent times that went to Imo State was hijacked by a political party in power in Imo State. And because of that, only those who are loyal to APC are appointed to make sure during the vote they will deliver their own candidate as president of Ohaneze and Igbo. And that is where the problem is. So anything that has any policy of the government in the central by APC or whatever, is shown up against Igbo, they will keep quiet. They will be playing politics about it. And that has been undermining the interests of Igbo general. And that is why people are staying clear. But if the process is clearer and the people's involvement is more open, then good. Then it will raise the confidence of people to participate in Ohaneze and Igbo. In fact, with this, your enlightenment, to be honest with you, I am glad and I'll be glad to participate in activities of Ohaneze and Igbo and also propagate the process that are pure and clear and not, misguided with a lot of politics and shenanigans that have been happening so far. Now, let us now get down to the base because time is running out of time. Time is running out of us. We are running out of time. Talking about the rotational presidency of Ohaneze and Igbo, the brain behind it, and why it is important that Rivers State produce the next president of Ohaneze and Igbo. We're going to consider maybe today or later the individuals who are contesting, where are they from, and why it is important. Such individuals should be known to Igbo. Okay, now, but before we delve into that very quickly, I want to acknowledge all our viewers and also our people who are watching and dropping their comments on the comment section. Chigo, Jezie, we thank you. Amota Goswell, we appreciate you coming in. Donatus Okechukwu Okoli. He said something here quite interesting. He said, good evening all. I want the next Ohaneze and Igbo leadership to urge federal government of Nigeria to release Nnamdi Kanu. And the next person there, Benjamin Madike, said, thank you for the proposal to make the organization have a grassroots base. These are part of the things people are looking out for in Ohaneze and Igbo. Dikachi Frederick said, raise your voices, tell the world your needs for peace, Biafra for peace, justice and freedom, and the rest of them. All right. He said, Donatus Okechukwu Okoli said, thank you, sir. In my own town, Okporo, in Olu local government, there are 3 traditional rulers. This has caused great division. That's exactly what Mazi Okoli have been pointing out here, and people are affirming that situation in their own communities. We have also Kingsley Isaac. He said, okay, I think we should skip that and move forward. Chukwu Ekere Agoha. He said the elders left the ancient landmark, thus lost their entitlement. There is need for restoration of that confidence. There is need for the elders to restore the confidence the younger generation have in them. It's very important. So I think that is just it for now. Now let's get down on the real deal. Talking about the need for Rivers State to produce the next Ohaneze president. But before you answer that, let us quickly acknowledge those who are watching from Facebook. Ugochukwu Madoha, Robert Unebu, who also called in during the program, or Menam Uche Donatus. We appreciate you, and Abraham Prince. Every one of you who are watching and dropping comments, we appreciate you. Now to Mazi Okoli. Why is it important for Rivers to produce the next president?
One thing I need to make clear, you know, when I did the first video, I took painstaking time to read through the comments of people. Some people were not very charitable. Some of them insulted, but some of them made a point. They said Rivers State said they are not Igbos. Okay. From the foundation of Ohaneze and Igbo, Rivers State has always played a role. The history is there. If Ohaneze has an archive, you can go and read through. There has been participation by Rivers State in Ohaneze. Now, the last vice president of Ohaneze, Joel Crowham, happens to come from Ahoda in Rivers State. He died. The Lord called him before, even though I think he died before Biozo, His Excellency, passed on. So Kingsley Okuku, people like Amadi and the rest of them, they have been in Ohaneze. They have taken positions in Ohaneze. So we were shocked when we heard about a clandestine plan in Igboland to disenfranchise the people of Rivers State, Igbo speaking part of Rivers State, from being Ohaneze president. There is a plan from some interest groups outside Igboland to deny Rivers State because they know the 2 candidates, the 2 front-runner candidates, are very patriotic and will not be pushed around by any governor because they will represent Igbo the way they will. We have interviewed these people through the Global Igbo group. We've called them, or Imobi UK has called them, the American citizens have called them, the European citizens have invited them. We have interviewed these people. We've shaken them. We've gone to their roots. We've unearthed a lot of videos. We've gone to their communities to know their interest. We have done our research. We invited them in and they interviewed. And I can say boldly that we are down to 2 candidates, fermentable candidates from Rivers State. Now, what is happening is that because of that clandestine plan by an interest who is a leader in Nigeria, to make sure that Rivers State does not rule, so that it will go to Abia State, where a candidate from there is favored to take up Ohaneze. And that candidate is said to have been nominated or is influenced by somebody from another part who is not even Igbo, has no connection with Igbo race, but is interested in making sure that the leader we elect is being controlled by them. So they want to disenfranchise the Igbo-speaking part of Rivers State and take that into Abia State, where that candidate will emerge. I don't want to call names for legal purposes, but we are doing everything we can to make sure that Ndi Igbo know the truth. Now, when Ohaneze came and started giving excuses, they said Rivers State has not been paying their dues. Rivers State has not been attending meetings. Rivers State has not been participating in Imobi meetings. All these, you must understand that there are three factions currently in Ohaneze. There is the Nwodo faction, there is the Late Iwanyanwu faction, there is the other faction, which includes all the very upset candidates and people like us who watched the last charade that they called the election of Ohaneze, what happened in Imo State. So all these factions, the bishops came in, and a lot of bishops in Igboland were called in. They brought peace to everybody. They said, listen, this thing has happened. Let's learn from it, take a lessons learned, and then we move on. We cannot afford to continue fighting with Ohaneze. We already have enough problems. Everybody agreed. So now is the time for Rivers State. They are coming up with all these ideas that they are not paying. And we know that Ohaneze, nobody paid. We in UK have not paid. People often pay during election to become. So I don't know. We have our Imobi here. We've been participating in Ohaneze activities. Nobody has told us we've not paid. There was a time we wanted to pay. They were not even able to give us an account. They told us they don't have access to the, what do I call it now? To the database to know where we stopped paying and when we started paying and all that. So they are not keeping records as we speak. And they are now saying Rivers State is not paying as one of the very flimsy reasons for wanting to deny Rivers State of the opportunity, the Igbo-speaking part of Rivers State of the opportunity, although they have been participating in Ohaneze since 1967. After Igbo Union, they have been participating. We have the names of everybody who have served in Ohaneze from Rivers State and who have participated in Ohaneze. And if Ohaneze could have a vice president from Rivers State, from Ahoda, if Kingsley Okuku could be the secretary, if Jackson and the rest of them have served in different capacities, if they are claiming that they are not attending Imobi meeting, it means that they are members of Imobi, right? So why do you want to deny them of their right now to produce the president when they have served in all other capacity? And why is it that suddenly you want to disenfranchise them when the two candidates that are appearing are very patriotic Igbo people that we have seen? They belong to ADF, they belong to Aki Kenga, they belong to a lot of pan-Igbo organizations. And suddenly now, you see, no more if you go to the deceit. And that is why the youths are saying, Ohaneze Igbo youths are saying no. The Imobi of Ohaneze Igbo UK say no. The Ohaneze America say no. Ohaneze Europe say no. Isn't this yes, sir? On that with ulterior motive against the Igbo nation. And this is what we want to stop. We are stakeholders in our state. We want peace and prosperity in our country. And that has to happen. And we are all stakeholders. And I chọrọ udo, I chọrọ ọganiru, I chọrọ ịfụnanya. Or if I nepe.
Thank you. And you have really addressed that on point. Honestly speaking, you've in one stroke answered some of the questions that arose from the comment section where somebody was asking about the clarity of who actually is stopping Rivers State from producing the next Ohaneze Igbo president. And like we have explained, there are political forces, especially outside Igboland, that are pushing this narrative. And people have seen why it is important that they get involved if we must have a state. And now that it is organizational thing, I think it is high time people mandate their communities to join and be part of ADF. Or is it just community registered businesses and groups that can join Ohaneze Igbo?
Non-governmental organizations that are owned by Igbos can join, communities can join, clubs and societies can join, organizations can join. It's called affiliate membership. So if you've got a group that is predominantly made up of Ndigbo, you can ask for registration, be a member, and make sure that the interest of your group or the association or club is represented. So it's called affiliate organizations. And we all these affiliate organizations, like in the UK, all these affiliate organizations during our elections will have 5 votes each to cast. And that's how we organize our own election in the UK in line with the Ohaneze Igbo constitution in Nigeria. That is the umbrella constitution that we use. So all affiliate organizations registered will then have a say in who becomes Ohaneze president, because then you can know who your delegates will be, why have those delegates been chosen, and who will be representing you during the election to make sure that your interest is served.
Okay, now talking about delegation, that question, who appoints delegation? How do they emerge? People would like to know.
Normally, when you have affiliate organizations and delegates are seated, your organization or group or community will nominate a delegate. But what has been happening over the years is that people sit in one comfortable room in Enugu and then choose delegates for everybody, as in a list, and you just hear the. So because of the lack of interest and participation, the format of selecting delegates have always been illegal, so to say. But if all these communities are coming, they will ask questions. Why are we not among the delegates? Maybe we will even begin to see the increase in the number of delegates. Because if you have, for instance, 200 Igbo organizations that are paying their dues, you either batch them together in a batch format and say maybe 5 communities, you produce 1 delegate. There has to then be a defined format. But as it is now, I will be lying to tell you the truth that I even understand fully how the delegates have been selected. And we've known it has always been a political decision to do that because of the lack of participation of the communities.
It is largely in confusion, and these guys thrive in confusion. They create that smoke. They create that smoke and make it very difficult, if not impossible, for Ndi Igbo to find out what they are doing. And they now hide under that. No wonder things have continued to go bad. No wonder we seem to lack leadership when it comes to that very important organization. It seems to be hijacked by the political class. But is there hope of rescuing it back to the people? Because when you have various organizations joining and participating,
there is hope. If we succeed in making sure that one of the 2 front-runner candidates from Rivers State emerges, we have, like I said, we have had intensive interviews with both of them, and he has promised to review the Ohaneze Constitution. And because the Americans, the diasporans, and a lot of the Ohaneze youth, the women groups are all interested this time around, it's not going to be business as usual. So we expect that if a new president emerges, that the first thing he will do is to begin to look at the constitution of Ohaneze. We need to review the constitution and present a better constitution that the people will be proud of. And both candidates have equally promised to make a copy of the constitution available to every Igbo person. There will be satellite offices set up across Igboland where people can go in. If you're being marginalized, if you're being brutalized, you can go. Call it the Igbo type of very dark black man. There will be satellite very dark black man scattered all over Igboland where people can go and complain and make sure that Ohaneze has your interest at heart. Lawyers will be made to volunteer to those areas. Priests will be made to volunteer. We are looking at working with the candidates to build a new Igboland that will take care of our people.
All right, I think that's exactly why the sabotage had been happening, especially trying to deny Rivers State that opportunity to produce. Not because they don't want Rivers State to produce the next candidate, but they know they have 2 good options that will actually benefit the people of Ndi Igbo and not those selected few who have taken advantage or have hijacked that organization called Ohaneze Ndi Igbo. That is a better summary of this very topical issue. Now, for those who are watching, those who have called, we appreciate you for calling. There are people who have been calling, but we couldn't get through. Sorry about that. I hope we are going to get you maybe subsequently on other programs. I don't know how much we have with our guest, because we have a lot to extract. Them and I say, nah, illegal Iroko 3. Once and for all. Because inwetwo the mother is not always easy, especially in the climb where he resides. It is everybody running up and down. It is busy, busy, busy. But it's really a pleasure to have him in this tight schedule to unleash the wealth of information many of us do not have, and that is the essence of this program. So if there is any other thing you would like our people to know before we end the program, you can make it known to them, and we'll conclude from there.
I think the only thing I will say tonight is we need to give credit to very young men like Nnamen, the Ohaneze youths that have come out, Ohaneze women, the Imobi, and the rest, and people who are beginning to speak up. I think we need to awaken the patriotic interest of Ndibo. We cannot continue to sell the wrong narrative, the bad news that we hear, the sad news from Igboland. We must begin to speak life into our being. We must begin to speak life into our society. And I use this opportunity again to call for the end of sit at home. I use this opportunity to call for the immediate release, unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, so that we can go back home, sit amongst ourselves with our leaders and our elders, and begin to, heal our wound. Our land needs total healing, and we cannot do this with any of us not being around. I thank God for Igboland. I thank God for the peace that will return to Igboland, and I thank God for all the patriotic Igbos that are beginning to speak up. We need more. We need to do more. We need to know that we have no other country, no other land than Igboland, and Igboland must be peaceful. We must secure Igboland, and we must go back to develop our land. Chukwokika Abiyama Goziono, Dalono, so much for joining us tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Mazi Okoli. We really appreciate you for joining on today's GGM, and we hope to have you on issues like this, especially as it concerns Ndibo. Their progress, their survival, their sustenance is really important to our people, and we appreciate you for honoring this invitation to be part of today's program. Thank you very much for joining.
Dalo so much, Dalo. God bless you all. Good night, viewers.
But before, I think somebody would like to ask you a question, if you don't mind, if you still have some spare time. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. We can't hear you. Okay, I can hear you now.
My name is Peter. I am from Enugu State. I am calling all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, in the U.S.
All right, go on. What's your take?
Okay. So I am watching the show on YouTube. I want to thank Mr. Okoli for his input. What I have to say is that one thing I have learned from these Americans is the power of propaganda. Okay? That if you keep saying a particular thing repeatedly, even if it's a lie, people get to believe it. That is the reason why you have someone like Trump in power, even though he's a very horrible human being. The truth of the matter is we have to tell our story. If we don't tell our story, other people will tell our story for us. That is the truth. Mr. Okoli, I've seen you a couple of times. I know you're well spoken. What I will advise is that you create your own mediums. You know the communities where our people are, like there are a lot of us on Twitter. If you have to be making your videos, be sharing them on Twitter, let's get some of our people that are very outspoken, these people who champion Igbo causes. We need like 10 to 20 YouTube channels, podcasts. We have to keep talking. The right wing control the media in America because they own the highest amount of outlets. It's a numbers game. We need more Igbos running podcasts. We need more Igbos in the media. That is, Tinubu has ended controlling a lot of the media in the West, from The Nation to TVC and the rest of them. It is a media game. Ogadi here, I sincerely appreciate you and the name today. I've been watching you over time. I appreciate the work you're doing. But what I'm saying is we need more outlets to be telling our story. Because a lot of our people are tuned out. They are ill-educated. They are uninformed about the fight, you understand, for the Igbo man. A lot of our people have little interest because they don't even know. what is at stake. Whatever it is we have to do. Mr. Okoli is making a huge point. I saw watching Namen's video, like trying to bring in our brothers from the other states. One thing I have to say about this Ohaneze thing is, how is it possible that all the Anyoma people in Delta states have no representative in Ohaneze? Because what he said that Delta doesn't have any representative. That's a shame if that is actually the case. It's actually a shame. Okoli, please, I will beg you, in the name of God, please, keep talking. If you have to create your own channel on YouTube and be making podcasts, while people on Twitter and the rest of them, keep talking so that people, just like the way I got on, other people will get involved in this fight. If that's all I have to say. Let's keep talking about this issue. If you have to, like, maybe you want to set up like maybe an alternate organization that is championing Igbo cause. So because you can give it any name you like. We create a website, we create a forum, we start getting membership, our people start getting involved. The more people are bringing in, we are asking them to do more, bring other people involved. It has to be a movement. It has to be a movement. It has to be a movement. Thank you so much, sincerely. I appreciate the two of you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, my brother, for that very submission. Mazi Okoli, you've heard what he said. How do you react to what he said, especially with that of Delta State? Is that true? It sounds strange.
No, Delta is a member of Ohaneze. Remember that Delta was the first presidents of Ohaneze happened to come from Delta State. They are members of Ohaneze. Even in the UK here, Chief Ajidua is from Delta. He was the president before Dr. Igwe from Ebonyi State. So Delta has always played a significant role in Ohaneze. But I do get what he's saying, and I thank God for people like all the other young men that are doing well, especially Namen and the rest, Madibia them and the rest, who are doing fantastically well. We need to support them, encourage them, finance them to make sure they discover more of our communities, not just discovering them, but we need to integrate them and provide for them. We are soldiers. We cannot leave any fallen hero. We must go back and look for them. And what can I say? Like Ojukwu told me as a young man when I met him,
yeah,
na my palm, you know, that I should protect Igbo. And we
the caller, hang on a second. All right, there is a caller who's
we all have to protect. Let's hear from him.
Okay, the caller on the phone, Ken Aguolo, if I get that name correctly. Where are you calling from, please? We are rounding up already.
Yeah, this is Ken Agulu. I'm calling from Washington, D.C., USA.
It seems Americans want to take over Ohaneze this time. Go on. Go on.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. I have been studying the River State folks on their interest in getting the chairmanship of Ohaneze. I also listened to Wanyango a few months ago when he said that the River State folks never come to the meeting. That he has begged them to be part of Ohaneze. Their dues they have not paid. It's very clear. We also know majority of them say they are not from Igbo, that they are from Benin. We all know that. Okay? So now the game plan is to take the leadership and destroy Ohaneze because they don't care about the Igbo. Many of them, I am telling you, there is a guy here in the United States that works for the Department of Defense. His wife is from Igbo. His mother-in-law is from Igbo. He's from Port Harcourt. His name is Uchenna, and he said he's not an Igbo. Very clear. All right? So, if they are interested, let's see that in depth. He can't just come and take leadership. After years, you have not participated, you have not paid your dues, and now he said it's your turn. He doesn't go there. We are not into him local again.
So
We are past it now.
okay, now are you insinuating that River State people should be excluded from Ohaneze and Igbo? Is that what you're saying? Or do you want to, hang on, do you want to strike the entire nations of a people because of one or two people's experience or position? Remember, recently there have been calls, more calls for unity of Igbo coming from River State and the Riverine Igbo people. Not even from the main hinterland of Igbo states. So how do you criticize Nigeria? The other time, Abati made a statement that Igbo doesn't sell a land because one man said so, without even saying the entire story, and we are all flogging him back and forth. Now we are doing exactly the same thing to ourselves. How does that make sense to you?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
If you are interested in a cause, listen, because I don't think so. If you are interested in a cause, you will be part of that cause. You will be participating in that cause. You will be paying your dues in that cause. You can't isolate yourself from that cause, and when you forbid, it doesn't go that way. It's clear. Yes, you don't say they are part of you. That's fine. Let's get
I think
and let's watch them.
Okay.
I think our brother needs to be properly educated.
Yeah.
And most of you saying you're not from Igbo, so you want to hijack it and destroy it. No.
All right. All right. Hang on. Let Mazi Obioko react to what you are saying. It's very important.
My brother, we need to correctly state the facts in a response by Igbo Petroid. Yeah, in a response by Igbo Petroid, Prince Dike Anyanwu responded to my call for equity and justice, and they enumerated all these points you've talked about, and I've answered that before. The question you ask yourself: how many people pay to Ohaneze? Ohaneze, are you aware that Ohaneze has about 3 functioning factions?
The caller, hang on. I will bring you back.
They have about 3 functioning. They have about 3 functioning factions within Ohaneze. Ohaneze is an institution where, when it gets to election period, everybody begins to pay because they have interest in participating or contesting or running for the election. Ohaneze does not have a robust institution of dues collection. I remember when we from the UK wanted to pay our dues, we were told that they have to check for the database. So the thing is that the institution needs to function very well. Suddenly, everybody is now talking about River State not paying and not participating. But the former president of Ohaneze, Joel Crowham, was from Ahoda. He served and died. Uche Okuku has been in Ohaneze. Jackson has served in Ohaneze. We can go on and on. All these people, did they not pay before coming into Ohaneze? How were they given positions in Ohaneze? These are the fundamental questions we need to ask. And why is it that now we want to disenfranchise them and then take it to Abia State, where we know that the candidate that will emerge from Abia State is being influenced from outside Igboland? We need to be very, very careful how we leave a people. Yes, some of them have said they are not Igbos. Fine, they cannot be Igbos if they're answering Uche and everybody. But those who say they are Igbos, there are Igbos, proud Igbos in Obibo. There are proud Igbos in Ahoda. There are proud Igbos in Ndoni. There are proud Igbos in Obogene and the rest of them. So do you want to do LL moving forward to Isiokpo? There are people who have come out vehemently, and go online, you will see them telling you hoha nafa bundi bo no nwere ife gbasara afa with ndị Bini. Anyị ọ ga-arapụzi ndị a because na onwego ndị na-eke ego, ụfọdụ ndị apụta na-eti nafa abụrọ ndị Igbo. Kedu ife onye si na ya bụ onye Igbo bụ onye Igbo? Anyị ama apụtasị na nafa na-eme ife since 1967. Olugo kịta afa ga-abụ president, anyị chetazie na o nwere ndị si nafa abụrọ ndị Igbo. O nwere steeti in Igboland na ama akpa afa for now participate in a lot of things in the Igbo name. But fa bụ ndị Igbo, fa nwere 30 delegates. Anyị na-eme Igbo Festival of Arts and Culture. That state ada participate at all. But anyị ọ ga-apụta na asị na fa bụrụ ndị Igbo. Ma o ruo na ife a ga-ekenyefe ya. So o nwekwe states na Igbo that participate. So we need to be very, very careful. Ka anyị ghara ikpokọta everybody ganye ha na mmiri, because no nwere some people need the psychological prayers ka ha ghọta onwe ha asị ndị Igbo. Anyị asịzie maka ya ka egbu onye ọbụla mechi gwara gị na ya bụ onye Igbo. O dili ya pụtabere any day sị gị na ya bụrụ onye Igbo. So we need to be very, very careful here. Ndị na-atụ ụjọ si na fa abụrụ mana fa na-azụ uche. You can see na ndị afọ need mental surgery. Ndị afọ need our prayer. Anyị agwa pastor anyị bunata chọọchị ya na Igbo ka o mere ha fasting and prayer. We need to educate them. Somebody the ignorant, you don't throw the person away, you educate the person.
You educate the person.
And young men and women are coming out from River State boldly. They claim their Igbo identity. Exactly. We have to allow this tsunami to take place. After the war. But we have seen people like Kingsley Okuku and Jackson and all of them now coming to tell you about and being proud of their Igbo-ness. We have to be very careful how we disenfranchise people. Makanasi no siteta adeba magine.
Odibabo.
Odibabo.
Daluso. Mazi Okoli. We really appreciate you joining. I think we've exhausted everything, at least on that late time when we wanted to cut off. Some calls came in and we needed to answer and address that, which you did very, very well. Okay. Thanks to those who have joined us. Thanks to those who tried to call but couldn't get through. If you don't get through today, you go get through tomorrow. We'll be having Mazi Okoli anytime soon to also address some of the issues that concerns Igbo. And to the two gentlemen that are coming from River State to vie for this position. As a way of conclusion, Mazi Okoli, how do you assess both of them individually?
I am neutral because I know both of them and I've known them in the trenches. I'm sure you will remember Barrister Kingsley Okuku. He has been in ADF, he's been in Ohaneze, he's served as Secretary of Ohaneze, he's been everywhere. He was imprisoned by Obasanjo as legal counsel to Owazurike, put down in the trenches for more than 7 months. He was at the Igbo conference in Germany. He's been everywhere. He's never hidden his identity as Igbo. The same thing with Jackson. Jackson has served in Ohaneze, has served in different capacities. I rest my case, but Igbo will decide when they hear from these two candidates in a debate that we plan to organize very soon.
And we will gladly be part of that debate to make sure that everyone gets to this very position to assess both of them individually. And Mazi Okoli, just like he said, we're not going to discuss everything right here or handle everything right here. Maybe on that, we also emphasize on the importance of the media getting involved, like one of the callers who called made emphasis on that. There is need for more Igbo-centric media platforms to be out there telling our story. it is extremely very important, because if you don't tell your own story, other people will tell your own story.
Your falsehood.
And you exactly. And that has been the case all these years. That has been the case all these years. But that narrative is gradually changing. We hope our people will appreciate the effort of those who are doing it, support them, and encourage them to do more. Okay, thank you very much, Mazi Okoli, for being part of today's program.
God bless you all, and I wish ndị Igbo a Merry Christmas. Biko onye ọbụla chekwa onwe ya. Ndị ọjọọ nọ n'ala Igbo, ndị Owere na-asị ya adịkwara n'ụlọ mma. Ndị a na-agbagbusi mmadụ n'ala Igbo, ya adịkwara n'ụlọ mma. Ọfọ anyị na-agọrọ ala Igbo wa ọfọ ndụ, ọfọ ọganiru. Ọ bịara egbu anyị ga-egbu onwe, onwere onye anyị ji, onwere onye ga-egbu anyị. Ife anyị chọrọ ndị ọzọ ya bịakwara anyị. Anyị chọrọ ife ọma bịara anyị. Onye ji ife ọjọọ bata n'Igbo, ya were nazere mmiri. Ọfọ ka anyị na-agọ, ọfọ ka anyị ji mara anyị Igbo.
Ise ka ịga ọkọle Maazị Okoli, ka Chineke gozibe gị. Chukwu okike ga na-edu gị. Daalụ sọ. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right, my people. That is where we draw the curtain and bring the end of the program for today. But before we end it completely, let us have a recap on the topic and the issues we are reviewing today. Talking about the River State position of being or producing the next Ohaneze president. I'll be right back to end the program.
Once I'm done reading it, the president will sign, the candidates will sign, and then some select critical stakeholders, including select women, not everybody, will sign, because we want to escalate it to the respective media to know, because we have to start sounding it loud. And equally to take preemptive measures so that the whole world will know and not ask, like some people are already asking, is the River State guy who President General? We only have one. Some of them are saying, who have they consulted? So we want to let them know that we've started taking and we are ready. You know, many people did not know that. And here there was a night of tribute here. Yes. For the former late PG. Yes. Some of our elders across the hinterland Igbo said nothing happened in River State and they didn't see so much from us. But we will tell our story. Maybe it was not well escalated. So can I, with the permission of the House, go ahead to read this communique? Yes. Okay, sir. That River State is one of the statutory member states making up Ohaneze Igbo worldwide. That pursuant to Article 11 of the Ohaneze Igbo Constitution, it is granted to River State as of right to produce the next President General of Ohaneze Igbo worldwide come January 10, 2025. This is in keeping with the constitutional rotation of the office of the President General of the Apex Organization of Igbo among the 7 states. That River State is fully ready to take up this mantle to lead Igbo worldwide. Our sons and daughters are poised to actualize this statutory and historic assignment for the well-being and development of Igbo all over the world. Now, the local government areas directly membering Ohaneze Igbo in River State include Obiakpo, Port Harcourt City, Oyibo, Ikwere, Emowa, Eche, Omuma, Oboebe Mandoni, Ahuda East and West local government areas respectively. That we have supported other Igbo states to produce the President General of Ohaneze Igbo from inception, along with other offices, and our allegiance has remained unshaken. That the River State chapter of Ohaneze Igbo worldwide has produced the following national officers in times past. Number 1, Deputy Secretary General, National Financial Secretary, Secretary General, Deputy President General, and other offices too numerous to mention. Now, therefore, we appeal to Igbo all over the world to stand by the Constitution of Ohaneze Igbo and ensure that a free, fair, transparent, and credible election is conducted come January 2025 to elect national officers, President General of the River State Extraction inclusive. We strongly believe that a strict adherence to the Constitution will bring about a harmonious, peaceful, and prosperous Ohaneze now and in the future, particularly now that we as Igbo face existential threats by internal and external forces opposed to our unity, survival, and development. We so appeal, may God help us all.
GGM, uniting the people.
All right, that is it. And I appreciate every one of you for joining this program tonight. And we hope when we come right back next time, we'll be able to bring you more on this. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, drop your comments on the comment section wherever you find the opportunity to do so on any of our social media platforms. Follow, like, share. Let us build a better society by a resourceful participation on a platform that tells you undiluted truth. I still remain as Suchinot Peters. Stay blessed, stay safe at all time. Bye-bye for now.
Like some people are already asking, is the River State Gawo President General? We don't have one. Some of them are saying, who have they consulted? River State is one of the statutory member states making up Ohaneze Igbo worldwide, that we have supported other Igbo states to produce the President General of Ohaneze Igbo from inception, along with other offices, and our allegiance has remained unshaken. Now, therefore, we appeal to Igbo all over the world to stand by the Constitution of Ohaneze Igbo and ensure that a free, fair, transparent, and credible election is conducted come January 2025 to elect national officers, President General of the River State Extraction inclusive.
GGM, uniting